Hey, welcome all to to another edition of a Bayou City Soccer Podcast with the Orange and Blueprints edition. We know it was a good weekend. Well, better more weekend that NWSL was back, but also good to see the Dash face on the Bay FC and get a result. So I know it's a really good. I think it was a overall good result, but we'll get more into that and more on other news, club news, and also a preview, a shocking preview. I think had nothing about the preview. Now we had some news about it, but I'm not alone, Manny here, but we also got my boy Diego, who is in his new crib.
In a new crib. If you guys want to take a little gander, Manny hasn't seen this either. On my camera, which is why I'm able to move myself. But we have a bunch of flags, a bunch of
Boo.
stuff. But all right, Manny, and I have right here the Vatican national team jersey.
I know.
Yeah. I don't think you have that deep of a pull, Manny, in your jersey collection.
Nah, I don't want man. I don't want anything to do with the nah. Actually, it's nice. Like the jersey itself is nice. Actually, it's nice.
It's not bad. I got it, and then I was like so disappointed because they gave me a youth medium instead of an adult medium. So I guess it's hung up now.
It's a collectible now, at least
Exactly.
As you will know that you won't use it or get it dirty if you want to sell it. But but no. Well, good to see that you're back at home. Well, back at home and New York.
Houston's always home. Houston's always home.
I know. So, but it was good to see that you're back there and safe, and then I see good there. But as we mentioned, we're here to review the Bay FC game, talk a little bit more Dash, shocking news that's happened this week in NWSL, and with the preview for on Friday's game. So let's get back on past Saturday. I know everyone was a lot conflicted because the Dynamo lost on Friday to Mazatlán, and then you have the America game also on Saturday around the same time. So a lot of people. But Saturday we faced Bay FC at 9 p.m. It was gonna be like I felt like it was preseason, like preseason going to regular season. Like okay, what team we're getting, and it came out a good start for the Dash, but of course, Hockley still continued her season even after the break. Scored the first goal at the 60th minute, and then there was like a lull of no goals. But yet the Dash was competitive. The Dash was trying to get into the other box, but couldn't get any result. Jane felt like she came back. She came back to her regular self and goalkeeper. And then of course the breakthrough from Avery Patterson through Kiki Van Zanten to give her first goal for the end of the competition in the 72-minute. But of course, after the first goal, the Dash had like a mental lapse and let a goal right after kickoff again. But I think the unsung hero that no one expected for a goal, Sophie Schmidt, at the 80th minute to get a point out of the Bay Area. I think just want overall your thoughts about the game, the lineup, anything you saw interesting overall in this game, Diego.
I mean, I thought it was certainly an interesting game because I mentioned in the previous episode that the Dash needed to make a statement with this game, not necessarily an end-all be-all game, but a game that definitely would merit a lot of momentum if the Dash were to make a statement, and I think that statement definitely was made. I mean, Penelope Hawking, ever since her Chicago days, has always been terrorizing the Dash. A little trivia about her: she was the fastest substitute to score in NWSL history, and that was when she played in the Chicago Red Stars against the Dash at Shell. But I mean, we all know that the Bay FC has dangerous players, and that Penelope Hawking is going to be in positions to score. But it's really the response that I saw with the Dash that I was really pleased with. I thought I thought it was certainly the things that we wanted to see, and it was players that really haven't stepping up, and Captain Sophie Schmidt, Captain Schmidt. We haven't said that in ages. but yet she played like one. She played like a Sophie Schmidt of 2019, of 2020. Um, and so I think this is just a great statement point, that because it shows the resilience, the grit, the tenacity that Fabrice has been going on and on and on during the press conferences about how important it is for us to get these results, and then it's finally nice to see those results get in.
Yeah, as well. I think it's a good result. I think looking at the lineup as you look at it, a lot of players were missing because of international break. Coming from the championship or long tournament, a Michelle Lozzi getting her break from the international competition, as well as Barbara Oliveri, almost the semifinals, but never at the finals, but still needed a break after it. Of course, then you have players that were out for concussion, like Ryan Garris and other players that were injured, that couldn't make the team. And you saw a mischief team. I think I was surprised about it. Alicia Chapman, you know, was her first start, I think, for a while, because I don't think she has started a game. She has substituted in games, but not started. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
Kiki Van Zanten taking where was Ryan Garris' spot and Dujan, taking up the forward area. I think overall it was a good game. Overall, I think you saw breaks by you saw Avery Patterson, still leading the line and the attack, still having command. I think an offensive lead in this game. Jane Campbell, like I mentioned in the preview, made 5 saves. And then her XG of prevented goals was 1.43. So she was a presence back as always. In the goalkeeper, and of course, I think you saw the tag a little bit got into life. The only thing I think you wish she was more Yasmin Ryan played, but I feel like she
Mm-hmm.
didn't made an impact of the game whatsoever. I think she was visible, but couldn't. I think when it was time for the final three, I think she was either not looked at for or missing. But I think that was but I think it was a good game overall for that. I think my question to you is, you think this is a great stepping stone to the right direction? I think having that time break, having that time for cohesion showed on the pitch on the competitive game. You think it's a good? I know last week I mentioned like we need a win, but I think the performance showed a lot better than the result game. You think this is a good? I think a good confidence and forward move going to the second half.
Oh, 100%. It was what I was talking about earlier, that the Dash were ready and did end up making a statement with this game. I feel like, however, we need to look at this game critically and ask ourselves the question of, has has the Dash addressed the problems that we've seen them severely struggle with? One being nailing down those offensive chances. And throughout the game, they had 10 shots, uh, compared to Bay FC's 20, which is already a disadvantage on that front. But out of those 10 shots, only two of them were on target, which were the two goals that we saw. I I struggle to see really any improvement on that front if the two shots on target end up being the goals. I think that's great conversion. I think that, I mean, both goals were really well played goals. However, my biggest concern right now is how can we take those 10 shots on target, 11, 12 shots on target, and move it into a category of getting them closer and closer and closer. You mentioned that Yasmin Ryan was not as lethal as we've seen her throughout the season, and how can we enable that lethal weapon per se, of Yasmin Ryan? How can we keep addressing these little problems and keep creating smaller stepping stones? Because a stepping stone is only so good if you keep moving forward. If you use it as a stepping stone and you stay there, it's not really going to go get you anywhere. So now the real question for the Dash, and this is really a Dash team that has put themselves in a position of falling behind the eight ball, because of the first half of the season. It's now the question of every game that they're going to play, and I'll talk a little bit about this when we talk about the preview for the North Carolina Courage game, is what are they going to do? What statement are they going to make? Every game from now on is going to be that question. Hey, are they going to make another statement? Are they going to surprise us with with a point or 3 points? Are they going to deliver a result here? That's going to be the driving question, because it can't just be AFC to where we have the grit, we have the resilience, we have the hustle, we hold it down, but yet we lose our next 3 games. I think we just need to keep critically asking these questions, and then we'll see the Dash really come into their own and really gain momentum, which will propel them to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you hit all the right points. I think despite the good results, the good presence, I think even the broadcast, even though Rudy didn't like the broadcast commentator, but I know Rudy was like the whole game complaining about the broadcast commentator, but is he here near or there? But I think I think with the result, it's a good result. But if you look at the table wise, they didn't really make change much. The only thing is just gives you more of a gap to climb. But I think like you mentioned, we need to get those results. You need to define those results, and to make sure that we are of course, hopefully with the players missing, they come back. I know Michelle Losey reported to training this week. So hopefully we'll see. Maybe not, but hopefully off something else different. Hopefully Barbara Olivieri comes back. Of course, we still haven't seen Clarissa. It's just with international, you know, uh, team players coming in. It's really hard to integrate them, here. And then of course, I think just that, and see how the team moves forward. I think we have a good core. I think if the team plays like this almost every game, I think we will have more confidence for them to hit the playoff spot. But of course, it's not on stats. It's just on game results. I think that's no matter how well you play, if you don't get the results, it's kind of hard to mitigate too. Uh, I have the expectations keep moving forward. But anything on the game before we move on, Diego? Any last thoughts?
No, I think it's just a matter of this needs to be the mentality going forward for the Dash, and I think I'm happy that we saw it. I'm really happy. It was late night. It was late night soccer. The press conference was at 1 in the morning here in New York, so I was fast asleep. Unfortunately, I was not doing my due diligence as your co-host of Origin Blueprints, which apologies on that front, but we'll get back to it eventually. But I mean, there's a lot to preview. A lot of stuff has happened with the Dash,
Yeah.
and I mean, I think there is a bright future ahead for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good stepping stone, good thing to go. I think a lot of things have been going up, but I think reinforcements is needed. Reinforcements are needed. I think last week we talked about potential transfer targets. I said last week a good left wing and left back to come to the team, and various reports that a left back, a left wing is coming to the team. Diego disagreed the whole time. That's what the team
I
are
was
getting.
saying, I
Uh,
was saying a midfielder would be a higher priority, but I would not be upset with a defender. I I don't want to quote myself out of fear of being completely embarrassed by the people that can go back and listen to me, but I don't know, man.
all right. So if
I'm
you're
just
not
happy. I'm just happy that we got a quality player.
So if you're not up to your Twitter or Instagram, there's rumors that uh, uh, Italian international Lisa Boatti is leaving Juventus, who has played Juventus mostly all her career, in the professional league and in the youth ranks, all the way to almost the age of 28. She's just turned 28. Man. So it's a lot, but I think what's interesting is that she had a long career. She has even though this I think you will see her mostly in this past women's Euros, her push helping Italy to reach to almost passing the semifinals. It was something that Italy has never made past the group stages, and now has done this unbeatable feat with the new league and new restructuring. I think if you look at her stats as a left back, left wing, left mid, She is actually real good on various most of part, especially defense is okay. I feel like she's mostly a left wing back, not really a left back because defense aerials are one, clearances are okay, blocks, tackles, but when it comes to the attacking part, she's one of the top players in the attacking end. I think something like an Avery Patterson comparisons, she's being compared to players like, top and Lucy Bronze, uh, Olga Carmona, who left Real Madrid,
Mhm.
to PSG, So players of that ilk in the women's game coming to the Dash. What do you think of this signing? I know, that signing you were prioritized, but I think if the Dash were able
I
to,
mean,
if the Dash will finalize this deal, how much confidence are you
I
looking
would
into?
I would be ecstatic. I think everybody with a common sense, with a piece of common sense, should be jumping for joy because this is a big time player that's really been making the headlines in Euro 2025, and I think we've arguably never seen the Dash make this type of move.
Yeah,
And you're not talking about a player that's 31 going on to 32. No, we're talking about a 28-year-old that possibly has 4, maybe 5 years
in her prime.
in her prime. I mean, I don't know what that pitch looks like, but I want to be in the room when they tell her, hey, you're moving from Turin, Italy to Houston. Like, that's got to be an insane sell. And you know
Yeah,
what? I'm sure hoping it works because this is genuinely a jump for joy type of move.
yeah, I think it's so. I think it's a huge move, it's a huge step. I think the only advantage that the Houston has over the Turin, it's just the competition. Even though,
I was gonna say the barbecue.
but I think I know that too the barbecue. But I think if you're Italian, you stick with your pasta and everything, and but it's just who you are. It's just who you are. But I think but I think she hits. I think she's had a point in her career that she needs to take that step up. You know, then she takes a step up, and then sadly, how much I think within the just FY for friends who doesn't know. Even though the city what they say women's has been along for more than 80 years, but only has been professionally established within the last three. So
Exactly.
before all of that, they were semi pros. They were like Wrexham. They were just whatever money they get, they get. If not, they were just playing professionally for free. And now they're
Mhm.
actually gaining competition, gaining money, gaining sponsorship, and now the competition grew. But she's pointing out her career that she's able to do more. And I think the NWSL or the Women's Super League in England are two options for her. And the Dash, need a need in that position, and she's the one that can fill it. So I think I know going back to her videos back in when she first like started in Juventus, they call her La Furia because of her. She had short hair, almost like Nevid. So and she
Mm.
played as a left wing at just like Paul Nevid, his Juventus winger. So she has that drive. She has that eager. So we would like to see that. And also, I think it's gonna be a good player
Mhm.
for someone like maybe like for Avery Patterson, who's still relatively young, to learn something from her, even though she's playing on the opposite side of her. Something to have to I think counterbalance. But I think it's a good signing. Hopefully, it gets it done. Hopefully, we can talk to her and speak to her and
I have a question for you because obviously this is addressing the question of what happens to Ryan Garris.
I think
I feel like from my perspective, we're gonna see a point where Ryan is going to be the certified number two, but she's gonna turn into one of the best backups in the league.
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think so. I think right now, even though like we mentioned before, Alicia Chapman was there. I think Ryan Garris takes her spot as a need number two, and it also puts
Mhm.
I think more question on Kiki's role. She did a great game on that left side. What's her position going to look like moving forward? but you would never know how the lineup is going to be. Maybe Fabrice puts Lisa up in the wing, up in all the way to the wing, where Ryan was, get Ryan, Yasmin Ryan was, and have Yasmin Ryan in the middle, you know, and have still have Ryan Garris on the left or Kiki at the left. It's so much. I think because Lisa can do both defense and attacking, mostly in attack. I think it just gives a lot more confidence in Fabrice to okay, I have interchangeable players. Would it work? What will work for this type of team? And I think it's just. I think you mentioned. I think uh, if it happens to take away Ryan's spot, perfect because Ryan will have fresher legs, and you know how
Yeah,
quick she is. You know how she could get up to the points, and that could be a good late substitution, maybe in the 70th minute or 8th minute to give the team extra
100%.
legs, extra legs. If she's okay with that role,
Yeah,
of course. But I think her position, I think should be gladly to accept it because I don't think she will start for many other teams in the
yeah.
NWSL. So I think it will be a good role for her and learning for someone who's there at the top level.
I 100% agree. I think we'll see how it shapes up, but hopefully this deal can be made.
I know, hopefully, relatively soon. The sooner it gets done, the sooner Visa and she get integrated to the team. If it gets done by this week, we won't see her until maybe the end of the month. You know,
Yeah.
so that's pretty much sad because it's just immigration 101 in the United States. So I know, so it's very tricky on that part. But of course, we're missing. Hopefully, there's two additions. That would be almost two additions for the dash if they can get as well as more additions in the midfield or in the defense, like we mentioned before. I think this team will shape up real well for the second half of the season. Uh, in other news, Dustin Del Jefe posted the guy information that Jane Campbell is going to be an assistant coach for a volunteer assistant coach, not a full time job, a volunteer assistant coach for Rice University's team. So we don't know what capacity it is. People are saying, speculating it could be just a goalkeeper assistant coach. But what do you think about Jane Campbell's, I think, involvement in Houston soccer more?
I mean, I think she's already been a staple of this community. Her and Michelle Alosia have been two staples of Houston ever since coming to the Dash, and I think personally this might be showing that maybe Jane's getting ready to maybe hang it up. I don't want to overanalyze it because then that's gonna like yeah, I don't know how long she has left, but I mean that just definitely comes to show that we can look into it yeah, she's looking into coaching, and what does that look like for her when she decides to hang up the boots. So I think Rice has an amazing mind, an amazing footballing mind, and I think that it's a great move for her.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it will not only helped her because it's not a job. It's not there. She has to be there every week. I think because the season for Rice starts in within a couple of weeks, so it's barely getting started. So it's not something that will impact her. As in like the NWSL season. The whole week. So at least a good start for her. Maybe her future to see maybe even something she gains experience as a coaching job to come back to the Dash team. That she's here for another, I believe, another 2 more years here in Houston. I can't remember how long her contract is. Extension was, I think it was about three. I think if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So at least have a good job, a good, well, never mind. It was for 12 to 2027, 2028. I was like, I know it was, well, I was right, 2, 3 years. Yeah, man, times go by too fast. You know,
Yeah.
so so it's a good to see that that she has enough time in Houston to gain traits to transmit that back to the Dash and to grow this community as well. So it's a good I think it's a good win-win-win, you know, for everyone involved. I think but hopefully it doesn't.
Mhm.
Don't think you all negativity of course so it doesn't distract her, but We know Jane. She's a very committed person, so she will always,
A
put the
hundred
team
percent.
first. Put the team first, no matter what. Now going back to the NWSL, this Friday, the Dash will host the North Carolina Courage. Before we get to, there's a lot of things to talk about for this preview. I think before we just it was a dry preview, but now it's like a lot of preview before this game. Of course, the Courage is just above, literally tied for points for the last playoff position. Coming off a good uh, now almost a good break. A draw from San Diego from the restart, and now have to come back to Houston. To play. I think the only thing that was really very very interesting just a couple hours ago, Sean Haynes was relieved from his managerial duties, and the club stated the following. If I can pull it up right now, that the North Carolina Courage has terminated the contract of Sean Haynes effective immediately. The North Carolina Courage remain focused in continued development for the team, maintaining a professional, competitive environment for players, staff, and supporters. That's a lot to take in, especially when I think when it meant, I think the NWSL has always have a history of harassment, sexual harassment, and and it's just to come up with a statement that they're focused on maintaining professional competitive environments. I think that's like a big red eyes to like what's happening. And also we can't sad to say the North Carolina Courage has suffered a long years of sexual harassment in that team, and with previous ownership and previous managers in that team as well. I think overall, I think how is this will news affect the team or North Carolina Courage and how they will prepare against the Dash on Friday?
I mean, it's a tough tale, really. I think you could either read it like they're gonna have like mental fog and just it'll be an advantage for the Dash, but you can also read it in a way where this will give the team more motivation as possibly they have just been given some justice as a coach that is potentially or not, we don't know the details yet, but finally let go. I think this is still a very early developing story, and I think we have to look at it very carefully. I think all of the players are probably thinking we have a game to play. We're just gonna go into it, try to win. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think they're still gonna play defensively. I think they're still gonna look to build the ball from the back slowly, methodically. I think their identity as a team is pretty intact, and I think play style wise, they're not really gonna change too much.
Hmm.
But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's just a lot to take in. I think something that I didn't pick up until now. Sean Haynes was actually the assistant coach of Paul Riley, who was charged with the sexual harassment. So,
Oh, oh,
so, so I something I forgot. Like, wait, why his names look so familiar? Like, I can't remember until now. Until like, and so it's kind of sad to see that even though
that
he
is a
did take. So Paul Riley was 2017.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
the head coach and brought a lot of success to Carolina Courage. Was actually at one point Paul Riley was the mainframe of the NWSL. Imitate his example, imitate his structure until 2022, and in 2017 and oh no 2020 I can't remember the 2021 season. That's when everything break out, and then 2022 that's when all the sexual harassment, abuse and everything came out, and how he treated the players and how everything was that. But Sean Hayes was actually his assistant during this whole time as well, became the interim and then fully taking the job in 2022. So it's really interesting that he has been relieved from his duties, even though he did bring sort of success to North Carolina Courage, keep him stable. But it's sad to see, this affecting still the women's game. I think it's something that you don't want to, especially in a professional environment. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just speculation. But It's just right now the upcoming, reports are they coming up. But I think going for this preview and going to see what the team's gonna do. Even though despite this announcement, the team still has a really strong, core. I think they're right there by the playoff for a reason because they're a team that can damage you. They can focus on that. Of course, you have players like Lucy that always for some reason hurts the dash. Always hurt players like Lucy. Alicia Sanchez. O'Sullivan. You have players that can really hurt any team. But I think if you look back the game they faced this not too long ago, even though it was relatively long ago time wise, but not too long ago, competition wise. Uh, Even though North Carolina Courage won, I think, but the dash set a good precedent. They were on their end, they were quick, they were on the counter attack, and put a high press on them. And so if they do that and maybe not get a red card, that game they had Sarah put the game who just a substitute got a red card and keep their composure like this game, I think it'll be a good game to see. And
Hmm.
hopefully, maybe, sadly, with all the noise, get them, off guard. I think with that in mind, what would be your predictions for the match?
I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna be an optimist. I think the Dash are in an upward trend. I think we're gonna win 2-1.
I was thinking 2-1, the same thing.
Pretty much think alike.
I know. I was thinking one, and then hopefully, um, Avery gets a goal. I feel like every game she's close to get a goal, and then
My goat Maggie Graham is getting another goal. Just wait. Just wait.
I think she can. I think she does. I think it's just we'll see how the game turns out. How the game plans out. I feel like she's gonna have a good game and see how it goes from there. But it should be a good, interesting match. We should see how the team form out. We should see how the team comes out and see how they approach this game. But I feel like if we saw a glimpse this past Saturday with BFC, we should see as well how the team move forward from here and now. But I think it's just a speculation. I think 2-1, 2-1. We'll see how the team is. I think with this win, if they get a win, I think the season and the performance just becomes much brighter. Even though it's still about to decline, as we mentioned last week, it's still a mountain club because they're behind the eight ball so bad
Mm-hmm.
in the second half. But I think with that positivity and that performance coming up, I think it's gonna be a good game to for have all to watch it. Hopefully, have something to look forward in Houston. I think that everyone's so depressed on the Dynamo, and so at least the Dash can bring some like. Diego's like, don't remind me of my scars.
I'm like, no, because I'm like, New York City FC is now terrible.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I
man.
came here hoping for some better soccer, and now they suck. So I'm just like, it's me. It's literally, I'm the problem.
And then once you leave, boom, like the Dynamo is going on the winning streak.
Exactly. Just watch that. Dino and Dash winning streak, watch it.
Man, I don't know, man. I don't know. Man. You always good luck for everyone. So,
Okay.
but we'll see. It's too early. Still we'll see. But I think
Mhm.
that's on an upward trend. So hopefully with that, it should be a really good season coming up. But that's all we have for today. It's a good. I think it was a good media episode, despite this a short minute time. But it was a
Yeah.
good. But it was good. Thank you for all for coming on, joining in. I know Kenny and Kyle were here for a bit, so thank you for all for supporting us and listening to us. I think it was a good uh, thing to think about. Just I think something to keep you all in mind. I think for next week, like if the Dash wins this weekend, how does your views for next week, for the season, for the rest of the season change? I think that's something for everyone to think about. And so
Hmm.
not just only us. But thank you for all for listening to think I'll see on Bayou City Soccer. Always look out for us on our website, biocitySoccer.net, for our articles and for our previews and post-match game thoughts as well. Always look out for us at Bayou City Soccer, at X, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. Apparently, we're gonna kick back TikTok. Apparently, so we know. Hey, I don't know, man. That's Diego's department.
That's
That's
my department. No, that's Madden's
I
department.
know, Maddie. I know, Maddie. Right. I know. So hopefully we get that back. So I don't know, man. I just watch the videos. I don't make them. But no, thank you for all. Thank you for everyone. And so hopefully we'll see more of you and back. Thank you for our sponsors. We got Soccer, Ugly Guppy, and as well as Elotes Bravos. We might have a live video for the guys for the Dynamo at We Got Soccer so soon. So hopefully we'll reach out and get a date for that. But anything before we go, Diego?
Nothing from me. Just thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it every time, and I'm happy to be back. We're happy to be back consistently covering Dash, and we will see y'all next week.
Yep. So thanks for all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all again next Wednesday, hopefully for a dash win and a preview for the upcoming match. Thank you for all, and thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace. Let's go.